This time of year is always really nice because everything's leafing out, greening up, and the warmer weather just makes you, I don't know, feel hopeful for summer and spring and the promise of new things growing. I've always thought God's pretty cool like that, how he can make plants go completely dormant and have a chance to rest, and then they get to have new life again. Speaking of new life, our meat birds have made it out onto greener pastures, literally speaking. They're out of the brooder box and they've been enjoying some sunshine and fresh grass. We have them just in an electric poultry net with this mobile shelter that you can move around that Ryan built. If you want to see how he built it, I'll link it in the description. If you caught our guinea saga story, we lost 2 shipments of guineas, and these new guinea birds we found at a local farm. They're about 3 or 4 weeks old now, and they're doing great. They're in our brooder box with our couple of layer hens. And across the driveway from the chickens is our garden. Even though we're still about 2 to 3 weeks from our last frost date here in Zone 7, where I am, there is quite a lot of activity going on in the garden. I have a bed of potatoes all coming up here with some purple potted peas growing along this arch trellis. I only planted these maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks. They've already got quite a lot of growth on them. Then also on this arch trellis here, I have planted some purple potted sugar snap peas. I believe the variety is Magnolia something. I don't remember exactly what it was called though. One thing I try to come in here and do is train these peas to reach for the cattle panel. And I just kind of tuck the tendrils around it. I'm not the best at coming out here and doing this faithfully though. But I'm trying to be better this year. So you just kind of help it along, and then eventually it'll grasp onto the cattle panel and start growing up. Speaking of peas, I also have regular sugar snap peas all along these cattle panels here and along those in that other bed. The sugar snap peas have been in the ground. Rooster wants to join in on the conversation. The sugar snap peas have been in the ground for several weeks now, and they're starting to climb the trellis. I'd say they're maybe, I don't know, the width of my hand right now. So they're getting there. And in the same bed that I have the sugar snap peas, I have planted a couple different flower varieties as well. I have some bachelor's button and poppies and love in a mist nigella planted here on the end next to our blackberry bushes. And then this is a whole row of sugar snap peas here too. One thing that's kind of new for us this year is our asparagus. We planted the asparagus crowns together last year, and this year's the first year we actually have spears. Last year we just had the ferns come up, so I'm really excited that we have 2 full beds of the actual asparagus popping up out of the ground. It reminds me of VeggieTales. I don't know if you guys grew up with VeggieTales, but every time I come out here to look at the asparagus, VeggieTales songs just pop into my mind. That just shows you my upbringing. My childhood was filled with VeggieTales. I'm gonna wait to harvest any of the asparagus until next year though, just to get the plant the full 3 years in the ground to get nice and established and hopefully be here forever pretty much. Along of the rest of these long skinny beds, I have some onions planted on the outer sides. We planted these together just a couple weeks ago. Then down here at the other end of our garden, we have our strawberry plants. As you can see behind me, the strawberry plants are filled with lots of white flowers and little baby green strawberries. So that's very exciting. Speaking of strawberries, I have kind of a little funny story. I saw on Pinterest or Instagram somewhere that said if you paint rocks to look like strawberries and you put them out, that it will deter the birds. So I thought, hey, it'd be a fun craft for the kids and I to do. So we painted rocks. The very next day it rained after we put the rocks out, and all the paint washed off, besides just a little tiny bit. And totally my fault, goof. I just wasn't thinking. I just used the kids' craft paint that I had, big bottles of craft paint for the kids to do crafts. And it's obviously washable kids' craft paint. It's not a permanent paint made to be outdoors in the weather. So I have lots of rocks that used to look really cute, like little strawberries that the kids painted. Well, kind of like strawberries. I mean, I have 2 toddlers. And now they're just rocks with a little bit of paint on them. So that's my little funny goof story about strawberry rocks. Also, speaking of white flowers, we have a lot of the white dogwoods blooming right now around our property. They've just grown wild, as well as some redbud trees that I think are really beautiful. But as the strawberries go, I have this whole bed here behind me of strawberries, and then I also have strawberries planted along the edge of this L-shaped bed and the one behind me, and then these 2 beds here are strawberries as well. I have 3 different varieties of strawberries planted. One's an early season, mid-season, and late season, all for June though. And this is obviously the earliest one because it's the one that already has little green strawberries on it. I also have just a couple other flowers here that I sowed in the fall, and some hollyhocks that I sowed last year, as well as a volunteer sunflower. So we just kind of did a loop around the garden. Now let me go up the middle path and show you what's over here. I have some red cabbage and normal cabbage and broccoli planted out along the edge of this bed. And this is sage that came back from last year, and some different herbs. In this bed behind me, I have some winter spinach and arugula and different lettuces, as well as some carrots. And then I have 2 beds filled with garlic that are all growing as well. And then over here in these other 2 beds, I just have some carrots and lettuces that are just starting to pop up, so there's not really too much to show there. Let me walk over here to the tree line because I have to show you this dogwood tree. It is beautiful, and there's a couple red buds over here too that are blooming that look really pretty. Thanks for hanging out with me.